Miles Monroe says it was a dream. He said God told him to walk up to the casket at the funeral because you're in it. So he walks up slowly towards the casket. And he looks down at the individual that's in that casket. And he says, that's not me. But then he looked a little further down. And he saw this. Look at your neighbor and say, don't die with the baton. Don't die with the baton. Don't die with the baton. Don't drop it. Don't stop it. Don't botch it. Go north. Bishop Bob Davis, my mentor, said to me one day, I said, Bishop, I'm interested in starting a marriage ministry. He says, well, you just got married. He said, what do you think of your wife? I said, she's great. Yeah, she's a little pushy, but, I don't know. I'm working through it. And he said, that's nice, but we're going to send you to the men's ministry on Saturday mornings so you can learn what it means to serve. Bishop Bob was an incredible leader. He walked with me. He provided information, biblical information. He led like Jesus. He invited me into a relationship that was intrinsic and valuable. And then he said, now go do it the way God has created you to do it. So he identified my pain. Lord, help me with my marriage. He identified my proficiency. Handel, you're pretty good. You have potential. And then he identified my passion. He was a great man of God. Somebody say, don't drop it. Don't stop it. Don't botch it. I want to talk to you about succession planning. How do you hand off that baton that God has given you? Check this out. Check out this video. Don't drop it. Okay, there it is. They've dropped it. What you see in that video is a young man who is trying to hand off the baton. But when you look at the relay race, which I thought was interesting, the relay race shows me something amazing. You want to walk out, not be carried out. And the runner must go full speed during the transition. So the runner ahead of you is running full speed. The person receiving the baton is approaching that individual. Two must stay in what? The same lane. The mentor and the mentee should be going in the same direction. And there needs to be a timely release, or else don't drop it. Somebody say, don't drop it. Don't drop it. A timely release. You need to, once it's been released, you need to step aside. Somebody say, step aside. Step aside. And if you watch a relay race, the one passing the baton moves out of the way. Our struggle is, as my previous speaker said, is that we struggle to move out of the way. Next slide, if you could. How do we move out of the way? How do we hand off the baton with a plan? I interviewed one person, and this is what they said. I'm responsible to lead the church while I'm here. What happens to this church after I'm gone ain't my issue. Somebody say, don't drop it. This young man, this man is not understanding the importance that, as my friend said, there's no success without a successor. Bishop Bob used to say, Handel, work your way out of a job. And I would say, what happens to me if I work my way out of a job? I've lost my job. And every time I worked my way out of a job, there was a promotion waiting. How many of you know there's a promotion waiting? If you would just trust God. Trust God. Somebody say, don't drop it. Don't drop it. Don't drop it. I love the seamless pastoral transition. Is a leadership transition in which a pastoral vacancy is avoided by planned overlap in service of the outgoing pastor and the incoming pastor. A great book, The Seamless Pastoral Transition, speaks of that. Lee Critcher speaks of the power of seamless transition. I've seen a number of seamless transitions, and it's been pretty powerful. I want to share with you just some things that could potentially stop us. Take a look at some of these numbers here that I'm about to share with you. Because I oftentimes discovered, coming from the business world, that sometimes the business organizations corporations have been intentional. In Verizon, as a vice president, I didn't start out as a vice president. I started out as a young man peddling phones. But they assigned me a mentor and who walked with me and shared with me on a monthly basis. And there's something about the idea of pouring into the successor. Take a look at these numbers here, and I find it to be interesting. Barna Research on Succession Planning says something that I thought was pretty amazing. When I look at these numbers, the resilient pastor, according to Barna, suggests that churches are struggling to set up a new generation for leadership. And that happens as the older ones step aside. Look at these numbers. And let's talk about them. The average age of a pastor in North America is 52. Somebody say 52. 52. And the average pastor wants to retire in 16 years. Or that essentially would be 68. That would be the average pastor's mindset. Well, Trellis provided me a slide that suggests, and we have these numbers, that 8% of our churches in North America are being pastored by pastors that are under 40. 16% nationwide. In the Church of God, it's 8%. And so when we look at these numbers, 81% is 41 or older. And so the majority of leaders is not young. Only 14% of the pastors are. And so if this trend, I believe, continues, the churches in U.S. and Canada is failing with this issue of succession. There's burnout rates are really high amongst the younger folks. The older colleagues also in crisis. And so we have 71% of the pastors, according to the Barna study, agree that it's becoming harder to find a mature young Christian. And 25% of the pastors are retiring within the next 7 years. Somebody say, Houston, we have a problem. Christian church is declining because of the lack of leadership. And so are we ready for the future? Are we ready? 50% have too many other priorities, according to the stats. I'm just too busy. I think it's important, but I don't know how to do it, and I don't have time to do this. You can't afford not to do it. Somebody say, don't drop it. Don't drop it. Don't drop it. My church puts great significance on training and developing the next generation of the church leaders. Look at the numbers. The numbers are suggesting that actually that's decreasing, that there's no longer an emphasis on preparing the next leader. So what are we saying here with this report? Number one, the clergy is aging. Number two, retirement is coming. Number three, 1 out of 6 are prioritizing young leaders. 1 out of 6 pastors are prioritizing young leaders. So what I'm discovering here, perhaps, is that the majority of pastors are concerned about the future of Christian leadership, but only a minority of them are doing something about it in their own church. And so what do we do? What do we do? What do we do about the future? How do we address this future? Well, I think we can go to the Word. And just real quick, let me just share with you what the text says. The Bible, I think, has precedents, whether it was Moses and Joshua, David and Solomon, Elijah and Elisha, Paul and Timothy. There's a precedence. Look at what Paul had to say. And we've heard this scripture before. And what you have heard from me in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to faithful men who will be able to teach others also. The message is here, I think here, is that spiritual success is, it's in God's eyes. It's marked by a spiritual succession. Is Tim West here? Tim, wave your hand. There's Tim. About 6 years ago, Tim called and said, hey, come on and, hey, let's see if we can do work together with the national team. And we began to work, and there were some challenges, and he was working through, and the state was working through, as you know. And as he began to pray and prepare, he decided to recruit this young man. I think his name is Ephraim. Is he here, Ephraim? Yes, there he is. Yeah, and they went through a process as the baton was being handed off. They were in the same lane. They were running together. There was a handoff that wasn't stumbled and botched. I believe it was a powerful demonstration of a godly succession plan. And so as they began to process through, Tim sent me this shirt. You like it? Texas Ministries. I love this shirt, and I wear it all over the country because it represents to me a powerful message of succession. But, oh, there's a new shirt. Wait a minute. Notice I've been working out. Recalibrate. We've gone around this mountain long enough. It's time to go north. Somebody say go north. I love it when Jesus said, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. He's called me to preach the good news of the gospel to the hurting, to the poor, to those that are bound, to those that are in prison. Jesus was intentional about determining that he was called to a mission. Not only was he intentional about capturing that. He said, John the Baptist, man, he honored his predecessor. You're a great man. And he said, listen, I won't be here for long. And he took 12 jacked up men. Somebody say jacked up. Yeah. I was one of them. Took 12 jacked up men and transformed the world. How did he do it? He invited them into a relationship. It's called discipleship. And he challenged them at every turn. Spiritual success is in God's eyes. It's marked by spiritual succession. It's a powerful message. Jesus did it. We ought to do it. He's called us to a higher place. Honor my predecessor and build health and complete the past. Don't blotch it. Don't drop it. Honor the predecessor. Build on the health. And begin a process of moving forward. This is what Barna said. And I'll move off of the stage. Barna, Leadership's Transition, said this, intentional, be intentional. You need to transparent communication. Start talking to your board now. You heard it before. Staff harmony is very important, that the staff is together as you're communicating with intentionality. And then as a result, you'll see a sense of unity between the leadership and the congregation. Maybe, just maybe, the well-being of the future church leadership is as simple as every pastor considering their successor who comes after me in this congregation. Lee Kretcher says that in his book, Seamless Paths. It's intentionality. It's intentionality. It's intentionality. Don't drop it. Don't botch it. Listen, you need to determine the search model. There are plenty of search models. You need to understand the context of your congregation. And you need to create a culture of succession. That's intentional. I was looking for a baton in Houston. I couldn't find one. Maybe I should have ordered it in advance. I went to 5 stores, and they said, we don't do that. And I said, well, what am I going to do? And so I looked it up. I Googled it. It says, make one. Somebody say intentionality. So I went to Lowe's, and I said, give me a pipe. And they're like, for what? Gave me 5 pipes, 2 pipes, and then they cut them into 10 distinctive batons. Amen. Somebody say intentionality. Define who the church is. Determine your rubric. Define your success. There's a level of intentionality that is important as you go forward. If you're not going to drop it, you're not going to stop it, right? you need to be intentional. You need to define it and believe that it's not about your ego edging God out of your life, but it's about exalting God. It requires brokenness. It requires strength. It requires the ability to really understand that you're just an interim pastor. Hello, my name is Handel Smith, and I am a... That's all. Thank you. So pray and ask God to help you to lead with strength as you run north. Don't drop it. Don't stop it. Don't botch it. Somebody say, go north. Repeat after me. Don't drop it. Don't stop it. And don't botch it. And let's all say together loud and clear, go north. So we have an opportunity. I love conferences, but what do we do after the conference? I want 10 individuals who said, you know what, I'm not going to die with my baton. I'm ready to run. So Brother Ephraim, come up for a second. And so just run ahead of me like you're running. Okay? And we're in the same lane. Just keep running. Keep running. Don't slow down. Keep that hand. Get ready for the handoff. Get off the scene. Somebody say, go north. Don't stop it. Don't drop it. Don't blotch it. Go north. Love you.